Then we'll discuss about one more scientist. Her name is Rosalind Ellis Franklin. Was born on 25th July 1920 into a British Jewish family in Notting Hill, London. She was an English chemist and X-ray crystallographer. She graduated from Newnham College, Cambridge in 1941. The British Coal Utilization Research Association, the British Coal Utilization Research Association, BCURA, offered her research position in 1942 and started her work on coal and earned her PhD in 1945. And next, Jacques Mehring was an X-ray crystallographer who taught her the practical aspects of applying X-ray crystallography to amorphous substances. Franklin applied them to further problems related to coal and to other carbonaceous materials, in particular, the changes to the arrangement of atoms when these are converted to graphite. Okay, carbon is converted into graphite during this change, the arrangements, atoms, and she applied the related carbonaceous materials, and she coined the term graphitizing and non-graphitizing carbon. She gave given the terms, two terms, that is graphitizing and non-graphitizing, and her research work will observe on DNA. She did her research. In 1950, Franklin was granted a 3-year Turner and Newall Fellowship to work at King's College, London. In January 1951, she was appointed as a research associate in the Medical Research Councils to work on X-ray diffraction of proteins and lipids in a solution. Okay, she joined in 1951, appointed as a research associate. She joined as a research associate in Medical Research Council to work on X-ray diffraction of proteins and lipids in solution, but was redirected to work on DNA fibers. And Franklin applied the technique of X-ray diffraction techniques to the structure of DNA. She used her own study to interested study, and she discovered that there were two forms of DNA. At high humidity, when wet, high humidity, the DNA fiber become a long and thin, and at low humidity, when dried and wet, not wet and dried place, and the DNA strands were short and fat. Okay, these two differences she observed in a DNA. Franklin named these two forms B and A respectively. But here Franklin is the best known for her work on X-ray diffraction images of DNA, particularly photo 51, especially photo 51. While at King's College, London, she was in the King's College, London. She famous for this photo 51, which led to the discovery of the DNA double helix by James Watson and Francis Crick. These people got the Nobel Prize later, but that should be get to the Rosalind Franklin. This is the photo 51 structure. Here we'll see the double helical structure, photo 51, this one. And research on DNA type A. Franklin chose to work on a DNA type A, though works by other scientists by name Wilkinson also, along with those two people, Watson and Crick, and hinted that the DNA was helical in shape, but Franklin wasn't convinced about it. If she was convinced, she would be in some other place. In 1953, Franklin had reconciled her conflicting data, concluding that both DNA forms had two helices, and submitted her paper one day before Watson and Crick. Watson and Crick, how sad it is really. Research work on RNA viruses also. She did her research on RNA also. That is example is TMV, tobacco mosaic virus. And Franklin later started to work on RNA, another genetic molecule, and she used the technique of X-ray crystallography to study the structure of TMV and DNA virus, an RNA virus. And Franklin and her PhD student Holmes discovered that the covering of TMV was protein molecules arranged in helices. Okay. Then Franklin also discovered that all TMV virus particles were of the same length, which was in direct contradiction to the ideas of the eminent virologist Norman Perry. Though her observation ultimately proved correct. In 1956, she discovered that the RNA in TMV is would along the inner surface of the halovirus. This is TMV and RNA, tobacco mosaic virus, capsids, and this is RNA. Whatever she discovered is ultimately correct thing. And research on RNA virus, and Franklin, along with other scientists, went on to work on cucumber virus 4 and turnip yellow mosaic virus also. RNA virus affecting several plants, including potato, turnip, tomato, and pea also. In 1956, she was doing on research on polio virus. Franklin visited the University of California, Berkeley, where she researched on the polio virus, and she suggested the research live instead of killed polio virus. And Franklin then commenced deciphering the structure of the polio virus while it was in a crystalline state. She attempted to mount the virus crystals in capillary tubes for X-ray studies, but was forced to end her work due to her rapidly failing health. Really, it was so sad. And in 1956, she was diagnosed with ovarian cancer. Owing to her deterioration in health conditions, she was forced to end her research work. She passed away on 16 April 1958. She, in very early age, she passed away, but she worked a lot on RNA, DNA, and many other things, polio virus, she worked on, and all other contributions. She did a lot and research and science. This is about Rosalind Franklin, and we'll move to the another scientist. Now we'll move to another scientist, Elizabeth Blackburn, Elizabeth Helen Blackburn, and she's an Australian American Nobel laureate. Elizabeth Helen Blackburn is an Australian American Nobel laureate. Elizabeth Helen Blackburn was born on Hobart, Tasmania on 26th November 1948 to parents who were both family physicians. They were the doctors. Until the age of 60, she attended the Broadland House Church of England Girls Grammar School. She pursued the Bachelor of Science in 1970 and Master of Science in 1972, both from the University of Melbourne in the field of biochemistry only. And she did her PhD. Then she enrolled as a graduate student in molecular biology at the University of Cambridge in England, where she worked in the laboratory of British biochemist Frederick Sanger. At Cambridge, Blackburn studied the nucleic acid composition of bacteriophage PIX 174 and become familiar with the techniques of DNA sequencing and DNA sequencing. And Blackburn then went to receive her PhD in 1975 from the University of Cambridge for developing methods to sequence DNA using RNA. Then in the year 1975, she began her postdoctoral research in the laboratory of American cell biologist, and geneticist Joseph Gall at Yale University in New Haven. And Gall's research was concerned primarily with the structure and replication of chromosomes, and Blackburn followed his lead, investigating the chromosomes of protozoan called Tetrahymena, and she sequenced the DNA of the organisms telomerase, and thereby discovered that telomerase are composed of short repeating segments of DNA also. And Blackburn then noticed that this hexanucleotide at the end of the chromosomes contained that thymine, adenine, guanine, TTAGG G sequence that was tandemly repeated, and the terminal end of the chromosomes were palindromic. And in 1978, Blackburn became an assistant professor of molecular biology at the University of California, Berkeley, and continued her investigations of the telomerase of Tetrahymena. And she became increasingly interested in the function and maintenance of the repeated segments of DNA that make up the end of the chromosomes also. In 1980, Blackburn met Zostock, who was also studying the telomerase, and who was intrigued by Blackburn's research also. And these two people began to collaborative effort to understand the telomerase function, telomere function, using both yeast and Tetrahymena as model organisms for their investigations also. They noticed the replication system for chromosomes was not likely to add to the lengthening of the telomere, and that the addition of these hexanucleotides to the chromosomes was likely due to the activity of enzyme that is able to transfer specific functional groups also. The proportion of a possible transferase like enzyme-led Blackburn and PhD student Carol W. Grader to the discovery of an enzyme with reverse transcriptase activity that was able to fill in the terminal ends of the telomeres without leaving the chromosomes incomplete and unable to divide without loss of the end of the chromosome also. There's in 1948, Blackburn and Grader, who was then a graduate student in Blackburn's laboratory, discovered the telomerase. And this discovery led to the purification of this enzyme in lab, showing the transferase like enzyme contained both RNA and protein components also. The RNA portion of the enzyme served as a template for adding the telomeric repeats to the incomplete telomere, and the protein added enzymatic function for the addition of these repeats. And through this breakthrough, the term telomerase was given to the enzyme, solving the end replication process that had troubled scientists at that time. These people have given the solution at that time. And the telomerase, we are talking about the telomerase. Telomerase works by adding base pairs to the overhang of DNA on the third end, extending the strand until DNA polymerase and the RNA primer can complete the complementary strand and successfully synthesize the double helical DNA. Since the DNA polymerase only synthesizes DNA in the leading strand direction, the shortening of the telomere results also happening. And through their research, Blackburn and collaborators were able to show that the telomere is effectively replenished by the enzyme telomerase, which conserves the cellular division by preventing the rapid loss of genetic information internal to the telomere and leading to cellular aging. And she got a Nobel Prize and for their research and contributions to the understanding of telomerase and the enzyme telomerase, understanding the telomeres and And the enzyme telomerase, Elizabeth Blackburn, Carl Grader, and the Jack Szostak were awarded in the 2009 Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine. And a career in 1978, Blackburn joined the faculty of the University of California, Berkeley, in the Department of Molecular Biology. In 1990, she moved across the San Francisco Bay to the Department of Microbiology and Immunology at the University of California, San Francisco, and where she served as a department chair from 1993 to 1999 and was Morris Hartstein Professor of Biology and Physiology at UCSF. And Blackburn became a professor emeritus in UCSF at the end of 2015. In the 2015, Elizabeth Blackburn was announced as the new president of Salk Institute of Biology Studies in La Jolla, California also. And this is the Blackburn's first book. Okay. Revolutionary approach to living younger, healthier, and longer, the telomerase effect. This is Nobel Prize winner Elizabeth Blackburn, PhD, Elise Epel, PhD, like that. And first book, Telomerase Effect, the book name, and the revolutionary, what is that, approach to living younger, healthier, longer. In 2017, this book was co-authored with health physiologist Dr. Elisa Epel, and publications and awards. And throughout her career, Blackburn published a number of scientific papers, received a variety of honorary degree and awards, including the Gairdner Foundation International Award, and shared with Grader, her student, in 1998, the Lewis S. Rosenstiel Award for distinguished work on basic medical sciences in 1999, shared with Grader also again. The Albert Lasker based medical research award in 2006, shared with Grader and Szostak, and Eli Lilly Research Award for Microbiology and Immunology in 1988, National Academy of Sciences Awards in Molecular Biology in 1990. This is about Blackburn. And again, we move to the next person. Okay, now we'll discuss about Gertrude B. Elion. She's the last person. And Gertrude Trudy Belly Elion was an American biochemist and pharmacologist. She developed innovative methods of rational drug design for the development of new drugs. And this new method focused on understanding the target of drug rather than simply using the trial and error method. Then her work led to the creation of the AIDS drug AZT. And her education was, Elion was born in New York City on January 23rd, 1918, to parents Robert Elion, a Lithuanian Jewish immigrant and dentist, and Bertha Cohen, a Polish immigrant. Elion was an excellent student who graduated from Walton High School at the age of 15. She graduated from Hunter College in New York City with a degree in biochemistry in 1937. And the work unable to obtain the graduate research position because she was a woman, she found work as a lab assistant at the New York Hospital School Nursing in 1937. She joined as assistant organic chemist at the Denver Chemical Manufacturing Company in 1938 to 39, a chemistry and physics teacher in New York City high schools in 1942-42, a research chemist at Johnson & Johnson 1943 to 44, and education. Eventually, she saved up enough money to attend the New York University, and she earned her MSc in 1941 while working as a high school teacher during the day. And unable to devote herself to full-time studies, Elion never received a PhD. but was later awarded a honorary PhD from New York University, Tandon School of Engineering, then Polytechnic University of New York in 1989, and an honorary SD degree from the Harvard University in 1998. And the research in 1944, she left the work as an assistant to George Hitchings at the Burroughs Wellcome Pharmaceutical Company, now GlaxoSmithKline, now in Tuckahoe, New York. She was first the assistant and then the colleague of Hitchings, with whom she worked for the next 4 decades also. Wow, it's a good thing. Alien and Hitchings developed an array of new drugs that were effective against leukemia, autoimmune disorders, urinary tract infections, gout, malaria, and viral herpes also. He is working in the laboratory. And their success was due to primarily to their innovative research methods, which marked and a radical departure from the trial and error approach taken by previous pharmacologists. And Alien and Hitchings potentially examined the difference between the biochemistry of normal human cells and those of the cancer cells also, then bacteria, viruses, and other pathogens, disease causing agents also. They are examined the difference between the biochemistry of all these cells. And specifically, he was interested in synthesizing antagonists to nucleic acid derivatives, with the goal that these antagonists would integrate into biological pathways. And here he believed that if he could trick cancer cells into accepting artificial compounds for their growth, they could be destroyed without also destroying the normal cells also. Then they used this information to formulate drugs that could kill or inhibit the reproduction of a particular pathogen, leaving the human host's normal cell undamaged also. The two researchers new emphasis on understanding basic biochemical and physiological processes enabled them to eliminate much guesswork and wasted effort typically previously in developing the new therapeutic drugs. And drugs developed by them, the drugs they developed are used to treat a variety of maladies such as leukemia, malaria, lupus, hepatitis, arthritis, gout, organ transplant rejection also, as well as herbs also. Acyclovir, which was the first selective and effective drug of its kind. And these are the drug developed by them. Gertrude synthesized anti-metabolites of purines, and in 1950 she developed the anti-cancer drug tioguanine and mercaptopurine. These are the purines and pyrimids. The purines career from 1967 to 83, she was the head of the Department of Experimental Therapy of Burroughs Wellcome, and she officially retired from Burroughs and Wellcome in 1983. She was affiliated with Duke Universities as adjunct professor of pharmacology and of experimental medicine from 1971 to 1983, and research professor from 1983 to 1999. And during her time at Duke, she focused on mentoring medical and graduate students. She published more than 25 papers with the students she mentored at Duke. Great effort. See here, she was the one. Okay. Zidovudine is a tea. This is even after her retirement from Burroughs Wellcome, Gertrude continued almost full-time work at a lab, and she played a significant role in the development of AZT, and one of the first drug used to treat HIV and AIDS also. And she also was crucial in the development of nelarabine, which she worked on until her death in 1999 also. Then drug inventions. Most of Alien's early work come from the use and development of purine derivatives. Purines, pyrimidines, that purines are there in DNA. And Elion's inventions include mercaptopurine, purinthal, the first treatment for leukemia, the purinthal, also used in organ transplantation also. Azathioprine, Imuran, the name, the first immunosuppressive agent, this is used for organ transplants. Allopurinol, Xyloprim, this for gout. I will use this for gout, this drug. And pyraminthamine, daraprim for malaria, trimethoprim, proloprim, monoprim, and others for meningitis, sepsis, and bacterial infections of the urinary and respiratory tracts also. And then acyclovir, Zevirox, for viral herbs. These drugs were used, awarded in 1988. Elion received the Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine, together with Hitchings and Sir James Black for discoveries of important new principle of drug treatment also. And her awards are include Garvan-Olin Model in 1968, Sloan Kettering Institute Jode Award in 1983, American Chemical Society Distinguished Chemist Award in 1985, American Association of Cancer Research Kane Award in 1985, American Cancer Society Medal of Honor for 1990, National Medal of Science in 1991, Lemeslon MIT Lifetime Achievement Award in 1997, and honors. She was elected a member of the National Academy of Sciences in 1990, a member of the Institute of Medicine in 1991, and a fellow of American Academy of Arts and Sciences also in 1991. In 1991, Elion became the first woman to be inducted into the National Inventors of Hall of Fame. She was inducted into the National Women's Hall of Fame also in 1991. In 1992, she was elected as the Engineering and Science Hall of Fame. She was elected foreign member of the Royal Society in 1995. And Gertrude Elion died in North Carolina in 1999 at the age of 81. These are the scientists who contributed a lot towards the science. Thank you. Thank you so much.